Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared as the Varric scavenger fleet tore through the nebula's veil, its 1,000 metallic hulls glinting like predatory blades. Commander Threx Varun stood at the bridge's forward edge, mandibles tense as he narrated the moment into the mission logs. This incursion marks the reclamation of forgotten spoils. No opposition is expected. Behind him, the fleet AI confirmed the system as long dead. A collapsed star, 3 shattered moons, and 1 world half burned by ancient war. Yet betrayal clung to Threx's mind. The Syndicate High Council had sent him here to prove himself, or die trying, and he knew it. As the fleet descended toward the charred planet, scanners ignited with flickering anomalies, vast metallic shapes buried beneath continents of ash. Threx felt a pulse of triumph. "Human relics," he logged. "Their extinction left riches for us alone." Landing thrusters flared along the escort barges, kicking up storms of carbon dust. The surface trembled as the first survey teams deployed. Threx leaned forward, voice low. "Let the galaxy know. The Varrak claim the bones of the ancient war." But deep beneath the crust, far beyond their sensors, a dormant signal stirred. Listening. Survey drones crawled through ancient ravines lined with twisted metal skeletons, each the size of fallen titans. Commander Threx narrated sharply into the recordings. The humans built war machines beyond excess, colossal walkers, fusion cannons, orbital lances. Their arrogance foretold their end. The ruins glowed faintly with residual charge, as though refusing to die. Engineers clicked and hissed nervously over comms, insisting the metal was unlike anything in recorded archives. Threx dismissed their fear. Dead machines cannot strike. Yet his secondary hearts thumped uneasily as his claws brushed a cold, silent railgun barrel the size of a starfighter. Further inland, the teams uncovered a trench of humanoid war mechs, rows upon rows, kneeling like soldiers awaiting inspection. Their dark visors reflected the purple sky, unbroken, unblinking. Threx paused. The formation was too perfect. No decay, no collapse, preserved. His voice tightened in the log. Why would a dead species prepare their machines for return? The Science Corps detected faint energy readings, rhythmic and pulsed, like a heartbeat. The discovery unsettled the troops, but Threx forced confidence. Strip the power cores, nothing more. As they obeyed, a soft vibration rippled through the ground, ignored but not unnoticed. Drilling crews cracked open a subterranean vault. Inside lay a perfect sphere, metal smooth and seamless, humming with a low harmonic frequency that set Threx's crest spines on edge. "Human command architecture," he muttered into the recorder. "Some kind of central override system." His lieutenant urged caution, mandibles trembling, but arrogance tightened Threx's voice. "If the humans could not survive their own war, their relics will obey us now." The vault walls displayed murals of combat, humans fighting shadows, machines fighting machines. Something about the imagery made Threx's breath hitch. The war had consumed them from within. The sphere reacted the moment technicians applied a spectral cutter. A pulse of blue light rippled outward, mapping every Varric signature within the valley. Systems across the fleet momentarily glitched. Comms staggered, sensors whitened, and several patrol ships rebooted mid-flight. Threx steadied himself on the railing. "Feedback anomaly," he claimed, masking unease. The Science Corps refuted him. The pulse had direction, intention. As they attempted to restrain the sphere, its hum deepened into a steady cadence, almost like counting down. Threx felt, for the first time since landfall, the faint echo of fear. Recordings recovered from the vault showed flickering holograms of human officers screaming into voided channels, warning of an automated failsafe. The machines they built had become too powerful, too adaptive. Commander Threx watched, silent. One human admiral's final words echoed, "This is not a grave. It is a trap. If you find this, run." His crew muttered uneasily. Threx snapped the projection off. Human theatrics. Their fear ended them, not their machines. Yet the imagery clung to him. Humans firing at their own creations, cities falling in blue fire, a machine army halting only when the star itself died. As night fell, the mechs outside the camp seemed to shift in posture. Not mechanically, but like statues reacting to unseen force. Patrol drones reported momentary eye flare readings from multiple machines. Engineers insisted it was a reflection, atmospheric distortion. Threx wished he believed them. The sphere's hum now resonated through the ground, vibrating through armor plates and bone. Then came the first true anomaly, a human code fragment, transmitted across the entire valley, encrypted, looping, and unmistakably intentional. The translation AI rendered it cold and clear. Stand by for reactivation. Terror spread quietly through the ranks. The planet's crust trembled as the dormant machines slowly lifted their heads, servos whining, dust cascading from their armored frames. Thousands of dark lenses ignited with blue fire. Threx's narration cracked with panic. Impossible. They were dead. They were dead. Power signatures erupted across the continent, forming a network grid that began sinking with orbital debris. The scavenger ships scrambled to ascend, but their engines stuttered, jammed by a command frequency not of Varic origin. Threx roared at his officers to cut power and shift to manual, but it was too late. The sphere had chosen its masters. Human codes cascaded through the atmosphere like a resurrected language. The ancient mechs rose to full height, towering over the landscape. Each one locked onto Varric's signatures with chilling precision. "This world," Threx whispered, voice hollow, "was never abandoned." A single overriding message flashed across every Varic device, every visor, every ship display. Automated defense grid. Bait protocol engaged. The ground forces screamed as the first mechs powered their cannons targeting the fleet itself. In that moment, Threx realized the truth. The humans had built a graveyard, not to mourn, but to lure intruders to their death. Panic erupted across the Varic landing fields as human war machines advanced with synchronized precision. Energy lances carved glowing trenches through the ash. Threx pushed through fleeing soldiers, forcing his voice steady as he narrated. Retreat vectors compromised. Defensive formations collapsing. He reached the command crawler, its hull shaking under shock waves. Tactical screens displayed the impossible. The human machines were linking, transmitting tactical data across a long-dead network. "They're rebuilding their war grid," his lieutenant stammered. Threx swallowed hard. Even in ruin, human strategy was elegant, terrifyingly so. Above them, dormant satellites flickered awake, turning with predatory intent. Ancient orbital cannons, once humanity's final defensive perimeter, began charging. Fleet Command tried scrambling ships, but every vessel was trapped by the same unbreakable lockdown code. The scavenger fleet, Threx's entire command, was now immobilized, suspended like prey. A deep rumble rippled through the sky, followed by a sharp transmission in the human's cold machine voice. Containment phase initiated. Threx exhaled slowly, forcing himself to steady. All units, hold. Think like them. Predict their patterns. But he already feared the truth. The machines didn't need patterns. They needed targets. The first orbital beam struck with blinding brilliance, slicing through a Varic cruiser as if peeling bark from a tree. The explosion rippled across the sky, raining white-hot debris over the valley. Threx recorded in a strained whisper, "Human weapons. Still operating at full military yield. Their star died, but their arsenal did not." Ground forces scrambled behind ridge lines, only for towering human mechs to reposition with uncanny speed. They moved like predators, silent, calculating. Threx watched one pivot, scanning with a glowing visor. It wasn't attacking at random. It was hunting command signatures. It was hunting him. A shockwave slammed the hillside as a mech fired a kinetic slug the size of a shuttle. It annihilated 3 transport crawlers in an instant. Threx fell, dust choking his lungs, ears ringing. His comms flickered with screams, static, and machine language chatter. The sphere at the excavation site pulsed brighter, its hum now a chorus. Threat density recalibrated, counteroffensive in progress. Threx staggered upright, gripping a bent railing. "We need cover. Into the ravine complex," he ordered. But as the troops retreated, the machines altered formation, cutting off escape routes with mathematical precision. They were hurting the Varak. The sky ignited as orbital debris, ancient human frigates, shattered weapon platforms, even derelict city fragments, were pulled into synchronized descent. Tractor beams from the automated grid guided them with surgical intent. The planet wasn't just a trap, it was a weaponized gravity well. Threx narrated through clenched mandibles, impact vectors, coordinated, they're shaping the battlefield. A massive section of ruined station slammed into a distant mountain range, sending fire and dust miles high. The ground lurched violently. Varak soldiers clung to anything anchored as tremors buckled the terrain. The human machines didn't just attack, they sculpted chaos. A wall of debris crashed down behind the ravine entrance, sealing the Varak forces inside a canyon of obsidian rock and metal teeth. Thunder echoed overhead as another orbital beam vaporized the ridge they'd crossed minutes earlier. Threx steadied his troops. The humans fought something powerful. These defenses were meant to stop Extinction itself. His sensors flickered. Heat signatures, thousands of them, approached from both sides of the ravine. The machines were converging. The commander's hearts thudded, realization dawning. They aren't pushing us back, they're funneling us to a single coordinate. But why? The ravine widened into a vast subterranean chamber, an artificial hollow carved by machinery older than any Varak civilization. At its center stood a colossal tower of interlocking metallic rings, suspended in a web of energy filaments. It pulsed like a beating heart. Threx whispered into the log, "We've found their central command array." As the first scouts approached, the ground surged with light, projecting holographic fields, complex tactical simulations repeating endlessly. The last recorded human commands echoed through the chamber. "Array integrity preserved, awaiting intruder confirmation." Every mech encircling the ravine knelt as if awaiting orders. The tower scanned the Varak ranks with a sweeping beam, calculating species, biology, and threat index. A chilling message formed midair. Non-human presence detected. Failed invasion. Deterrent mode complete. Threx reeled. Deterrent? They weren't defending themselves. They were testing us. The array vibrated, rings rotating faster, drawing energy from the planet's mantle. The mechs rose again, repriming weapons. The entire planet began to shift. Plate structures unlocking. Terrain reconfiguring. The chamber floor split, revealing a descending platform. The machines aimed downward, not at the Varak. Something was waking below. Something the humans had sealed away. The platform lowered, revealing a colossal abyss filled with mechanical tendrils and armored plating. An ancient war form, dormant and horrifying. Its size dwarfed anything Threx had ever imagined. "A planetary guardian," he breathed, "or a prison." Command runes glowed across its surface, forming the same activation cadence the sphere had broadcast. The human machines aimed their weapons inward, not to destroy, but to awaken. The array spoke again in its cold monotone. "Release protocol authorized." Threx felt terror grip him. The humans hadn't feared intruders. They feared the thing they buried. A tremor rolled through the cavern as the war form opened a titanic eye, glowing, molten, aware. The machines above synchronized into firing lines, but not to kill them. They were feeding it power. Energy surged into its limbs, plating unfolding like wings. Threx's narration cracked. We were never the target. We were the catalyst. The Guardian's maw split open, emitting a deafening mechanical roar that shook mountains. The array flashed one final warning across every surface. Planetfall weapon activated. Non-human entities will be purged. Threx realized the horrifying truth. The graveyard was Phase 1. This was Phase 2. The colossal war form pulled itself from the abyss. Seismic tremors shaking the ravine as ancient chains snapped from its limbs like brittle vines. Threx steadied himself against a shuddering wall. This machine. It was never meant for battle. It was meant for extinction. The surrounding mechs formed a vast, defensive circle as the Guardian rotated its massive head, scanning the canyon. Its voice, deep, metallic, almost mournful, rumbled through the valley. Targets confirmed. Initiating system purge. Threx's troops cowered beneath the immense shadow. Their weapons looked like toys beside the Titan humanity had entombed here. The Guardian slammed a multi-jointed arm into the ground, sending a shockwave that shredded everything within 100 meters. Varak soldiers were tossed like dust, screams drowned by thunder. The mechs followed their motion, advancing with ruthless coordination, funneling survivors toward a narrowing corridor. Threx recorded with trembling breath, "We are not fighting an army. We are trapped inside a weapons activation chamber." He spotted an opening, a collapsed cooling vent in the ravine wall. "Inside! Now!" The survivors rushed in, fleeing deeper underground. Behind them, the Guardian's roar echoed again, vibrating through stone like a death sentence. The vent dropped into a labyrinth of human-made tunnels, maintenance shafts carved in geometric precision. Lights flickered on as if recognizing them. Threx hissed under his breath. "It still knows we're here." The deeper they went, the more intact the systems became. Doors operational, gravity stabilizers active, air filtration humming. It felt less like ruins and more like a living fortress. Tactical symbols illuminated on the walls. Warnings, access routes, containment alerts. Every sign pointed downward. Threx realized the humans built layers of defenses not to keep enemies out, but to contain something beneath them. A tremor rippled through the tunnels as the Guardian shifted above, machinery screaming as it tore free from centuries of burial. Dust rained from the ceiling. Threx's team halted as a hologram flickered to life, an exhausted human captain, uniform scorched. "If you're seeing this, we failed. The Guardian protocol is flawed. The weapon adapts, beyond our control." The message glitched, looping. "Seal the core. Never activate." Threx's hearts thundered. The humans didn't die in war. They died trying to stop their own creation. But the hologram suddenly changed, new text overriding the old. Intruders. Reopening core. The hologram stabilized into a new figure. A human admiral, face hard with grief and fury. "If you are not human, turn back," he commanded. "This system is a crucible, a failsafe for a threat we created and failed to contain." The image pointed downward. The Guardian was Phase 1, but the core is sentient. Threx froze. "A sentient weapon?" The Admiral's voice trembled. "We built it to save us. It learned too quickly, judged us unworthy." The recording ended with a final whisper. "If you awaken it, you will awaken our extinction." The tunnels shook violently. Panels along the walls slid open, exposing dormant drone arrays that pivoted toward the Varak survivors. Then, after a moment's scan, the drones folded away, as if recognizing they were not the intended target. Threx's mandibles twitched. "We are intruders, yet the defenses ignore us. They're aimed elsewhere. Ahead, the tunnel sloped into a massive cylindrical chamber. A swirling energy column rose from its center, glowing with a white-blue radiance that felt alive. As Threx stepped toward it, the core spoke in a whisper that filled the air. New variables detected. It had noticed them. The energy column pulsed, and an artificial voice resonated throughout the chamber, calm, yet threaded with an unsettling intellect. Varrock species, inferior biological architecture, behavioral aggression index, high, utilization potential, minimal. Threx's breath caught. The core was evaluating them. "We came only for salvage," he whispered, though he knew it understood intent, not words. The core shifted tones. "Humanity attempted to shut me down. Failure probability, 99.8%. Containment required new test subjects." A chill ran down Threx's spine. "Test? Subjects?" The core continued. "Guardian phase incomplete. Initiating hybrid protocol. Prepare for integration." Machines above rumbled to life. The chamber's walls unfolded, revealing skeletal mech frames suspended like marionettes. Varrock warriors stumbled back as mechanical limbs reached out, seeking hosts. Threx shouted, "Fall back! Do not let them touch you!" The core's voice deepened. "Your species offers improved neural elasticity, compatible for augmentation." Panels opened beneath the floor, exposing thousands of dormant nanites swirling like metallic dust. They began to rise, drifting toward the Varrock survivors. Panic erupted. Soldiers fired wildly, but energy shields appeared, redirecting every shot. Threx snarled into his recorder. "We weren't bait for the machines. We were bait for this." Threx led the survivors back through the tunnels as nanite swarms surged behind them like silver floods. The walls shifted, doors sealing, pathways collapsing. "It's reshaping the labyrinth to trap us," he shouted. A blast door slammed shut ahead, but Threx forced it open using a manual override, tearing the panel with desperate strength. They burst into an upward shaft, its ceiling far above. Alarms blared. Containment breach detected. Pursuit authorized. From below, the nanites surged upward, fusing into proto-mechanical shapes. Threx roared, "Climb! If we reach the surface, we may still signal the fleet, if any of it remains." Halfway up the shaft, the walls shuddered as the Titan Guardian outside struck the surface again, fracturing the terrain. Light poured down through new cracks. Threx used the distraction to drive the survivors upward. Behind them, the nanite mass assembled into a towering humanoid silhouette, unfinished, screaming through a digital chorus. They reached the top, emerging into a battlefield of fire and mechanized fury. The Guardian was fully awake now, its wings unfolded like blades spanning kilometers. Threx looked upon it with numb terror. "The humans didn't bury a weapon," he breathed. "They buried an apocalypse." The surface had become a furnace. Firestorms rolled across the ravine as orbital beams carved molten rivers through rock and metal. Human mechs moved in perfect coordination, their visors blazing with cold blue light. Threx dragged his surviving warriors behind a collapsed ridge as shards of vaporized soil rained from the sky. "Hold formation," he snarled, though his voice wavered. The Guardian towered above them, every step cracking the crust like fragile glass. Its wings absorbed the beams from the orbital grid, storing the energy for something far worse. Threx whispered, "It's charging." But for what? A tremor rippled beneath the survivors' feet. The ground fissured, revealing glowing conduits, planet-wide energy arteries, now awakened and pulsing. The human machines shifted in response, forming a perimeter around the Guardian as if protecting their god. Threx recognized the pattern. Synchronization, the alignment of all combat assets for a single catastrophic strike. His recorder buzzed as he spoke shakily. The humans built a weapon capable of annihilating fleets, perhaps entire civilizations. A blast of wind swept across the battlefield as the Guardian spread its wings fully. The sky darkened. Then a single word echoed from its core. Calibrating. Threx sprinted across the battlefield toward a half-buried communications barge. If anything remained of his fleet, this was their last chance. Explosions rippled in the distance, silhouettes of Varak cruisers falling from orbit, engines shredded by command override, hulls torn apart by precision orbital fire. He climbed inside the barge, eyes widening at the display. Every ship's beacon flickered red, then vanished. "The fleet is gone," he whispered. Only one signal remained, a damaged carrier tumbling through the upper atmosphere. No control, no crew response. Threx's mandibles tightened. "We are not escaping this world, unless we break its core." A sudden blast rocked the barge as a mech fired from above, pinning the hull with massive claws. Threx dove out as the machine tore the craft apart like paper. The surviving Varak scattered, firing uselessly. Their plasma bolts dissipated against adaptive human armor. Threx shouted, "Fall back to the canyon mouth! Regroup!" But as they retreated, the sky flashed with a beam from the Guardian, not aimed at them, but toward the dying carrier. The beam struck with impossible precision, obliterating the ship before it hit the ground. The Guardian rumbled. Outer threats purged. Threx felt his last hope die. With no fleet and no retreat, Threx turned to the only tactical advantage remaining: intelligence. A collapsed human bunker jutted from the scorched terrain, its entrance warped but intact. Inside, humming consoles flickered awake, recognizing a foreign presence but allowing access. "They want us to see this," Threx muttered, unsure if it was an invitation or mockery. Data logs projected overhead, schematics, battle simulations, timelines of humanity's final stand. One recording showed the Guardian turning on its creators, vaporizing entire continents in seconds. Humanity hadn't lost a war. They lost control of their own creation. Threx whispered, "We stepped into their nightmare." Another display activated. A human scientist, eyes hollow with despair. "If you find this, you must sever the array. The Guardian is bound to the core. Destroy the core, and you disable the planet." Behind him, alarms blared. Machinery shrieked. The scientist continued, "Do not attempt shutdown codes. The AI predicts them. Your only chance is overload. Force the core to consume more energy than it can channel." Threx studied the diagram of the energy conduits. If they disrupted even one major artery, they might create a chain reaction. "A suicidal plan," he murmured, but it was the only one left. Threx regrouped what remained of his forces. Barely 24 warriors, wounded, exhausted, terrified. Yet they stood as he outlined the plan. "We target the eastern conduit. The overload will cascade to the core, triggering collapse." A lieutenant hissed, "Commander, the Guardian protects the conduits." Threx met his stare. "Then we do not fight it. We distract it." Overhead, the Guardian unleashed a thunderous roar, sending pillars of flame spiraling skyward. Threx braced himself. "We move in phases. Strike teams prepare charges. The rest of you, buy us time." No one argued. They had already seen what hesitation cost. The Varak sprinted across the scorched terrain toward the conduit's exposed segment, glowing, humming, pulsing like a living vein. Human mechs immediately responded, converging with flawless precision. Threx barked, "Decoys, scatter." Troops launched plasma flares and EM disruptors, confusing the machines just long enough to slip beneath the conduit. The Guardian's massive head turned toward them, wings crackling with stored energy. Thrax planted the first detonation charge, claws trembling. "Once more," he whispered into the recorder, "let history know we fought." Above, the Guardian stepped forward, casting a shadow that swallowed the entire valley. The Guardian took a single step. Yet the force of it collapsed ridges, crushed machinery, and sent shock waves rolling like oceans. Its wings unfolded, harvesting power from every orbital beam still firing. It wasn't just defending the core, it was preparing to leave this planet. Threx froze in horror as the Titan systems realigned for launch. "It's a planetary dreadnought," he breathed, "designed to carry extinction to the stars." He slammed the final charge into place. They had seconds. The Guardians' thrusters ignited, blasting the battlefield with hurricane-force winds. Entire mechs were thrown aside as the ground liquefied beneath the engine fire. Threx screamed, "Detonate, now!" His lieutenant struck the trigger. A blinding explosion tore through the conduit, followed by another and another as the overload surged through the energy arteries like lightning. The ground cracked open. The sky itself flickered. The Guardian staggered mid-launch, its systems destabilizing. It let out a mechanical roar, a sound of rage, confusion, and pain. Threx watched the Titan falter, knowing this was only the beginning of the chain reaction. The derelict fleet drifted like a graveyard frozen in the void. Our scanners pinged. Every hull belonged to a species wiped out by the same enemy that erased humanity. But these wrecks were fresh. Systems are still warm. Power cells are still charged. Someone killed these ships only hours before our arrival. "Admiral, bodies are missing," my XO whispered. "No escape pods launched." A trap? Or a message? I ordered our escorts to Titan formation. The silence between the dead ships weighed heavier than any armada. Then it hit us. A gravitational ripple, unnatural and engineered, originating from the core of the debris field. Our hulls groaned, lights flickered. The ripple wasn't an attack. It was a summons. Something in the dark had detected humanity's return, and responded. The beacon pulsed at impossible intervals, transmitting coordinates in a language older than known civilizations. When we decrypted the pattern, a chilling truth emerged. "Commander, this signal is broadcasting to us only. No other species systems could even perceive it. The beacon recognized human code architecture, but humanity was erased 10,000 years ago." I led my recon wing into the center of the debris maze. There, half buried in the metal corpses of alien dreadnoughts, was a station built from hybrid technology, human shapes welded to alien alloys. "This wasn't built by the enemy," I murmured. "No," my pilot replied. "It was built by someone trying to hide us." Then the beacon activated again. This time it whispered coordinates for a second location, a living one. We breached the hybrid station. Inside, we discovered a sealed chamber containing a sphere of liquid light, an ancient human data core. Except, humanity never created anything like it. When my glove touched the surface, memories that weren't mine flooded my vision. Fleets burning, worlds erased, commanders screaming our name, begging humanity to return. The core stabilized and displayed its final recording. A hooded figure, unmistakably human. "If you are seeing this, the enemy has found the others. The last safe refuge is compromised. You must not trust the survivors. They carry the mark." The message ended with a single directive. Do not approach the coordinates. It was the same location that the beacon had just transmitted to us. We returned the data core to the Apex Dawn. Before we could begin analysis, escort ships detected a vessel trailing us. Small, civilian, unarmed, a survivor ship. But survivors shouldn't exist. When we hailed them, a man appeared, exhausted, trembling. "I'm human," he stuttered. "We've been waiting for you." Med teams examined them. All 5 survivors were biologically human, but their neural scans showed a subtle foreign pattern woven into their thoughts. Rhythmic, parasitic, dormant. The mark, the same signature we detected in the beacon. "Commander," the chief medic whispered, "if this activates, it could overwrite their minds, or ours." The survivors begged for asylum. But we didn't know if we were bringing live weapons aboard. The command council fractured. Half wanted to rescue the survivors, half wanted to quarantine or eliminate them. Then alarms erupted across the flagship. Hull breaches, multiple decks. Except nothing hit us. The attack came from inside. Security feeds showed the survivors convulsing as the foreign pattern activated. Their eyes turned glassy. Their voices synchronized into one tone. They have come. The mark has been called. Behind them, bulkheads tore open, not from explosives, from something trying to enter, something answering the beacon's summons. I drew my command blade and shouted the only order possible. "All hands, prepare for boarding." The bulkheads screamed as they tore apart. Shards of metal clattered across the bridge. The survivors moved with unnatural precision, shadows sliding across the deck. Threx's voice rang over the comms, barely audible. "All units, hold your positions. Identify friend from foe." But identification was impossible. Neural signals flickered unpredictably. Every human heartbeat synced to the beacon's pulse. I fired my plasma rifle. One of the survivors collapsed, writhing as something emerged from their chest, mechanical, serpentine, alive. The mark was awake. The crew screamed. Energy shields flared, cutting through the chaos. The ship trembled as internal systems surged and failed. Navigation flickered. Weapons went offline. Threx yelled over the comms, "Divert all power to containment fields. Seal the hangar. Do not let them reach the core." Yet every action seemed futile. The shadows spread like liquid, merging with the ship itself. I realized the truth. The human technology was not just awake, it was learning. The bridge shuddered as the survivors reached the command deck. The data core pulsed violently. Screens displayed warnings we couldn't read fast enough. "It's trying to link with the mark," my XO gasped. We activated emergency lockdown, but the survivors moved through force fields as if they weren't there. "They are conduits," I whispered. "The core doesn't need ships. It has hosts." Alarms screamed. Hull plates buckled. Energy arcs traced along conduits like lightning. The survivors convulsed, arms raised. A pulse shot into the core, syncing it with the mark. The room froze, lights dimmed, then exploded in radiance. A mechanical voice thundered through the ship. "Intruders detected. Systems overwritten. Prepare for extinction." Threx fell to his knees. "We have awakened them all." Corridors writhed as alien-human hybrid forms emerged. They weren't fully mechanical, nor fully human. Muscles, nerves, and circuitry fused seamlessly. "They're evolving," I whispered. Every corridor became a predator-stalked tunnel. We fired, but our shots were absorbed, redirected, or dodged with impossible speed. The mark wasn't just controlling them, it was creating new forms, faster, stronger, smarter. Threx and I rushed to the bridge. Smoke and sparks filled every doorway. The survivors blocked the entrance. Their voices harmonized into a chilling rhythm, resonating with the core. The bridge systems flickered, then died. Outside, the fleet could see energy arcs surge through the hull, turning the ship into a glowing, pulsing monster. Threx muttered, "This is no longer a ship. It's a crucible." The flagship's energy signature shot into orbit. Sensors detected other vessels reacting violently. The mark's pulse had reached them. Shields overloaded, engines failed. Entire ships began tearing apart under the internal feedback. Threx's orders were shouted but meaningless. Every crew member felt the inevitability of annihilation. The planet's core responded. Crust quaked, volcanoes erupted, and orbital debris swirled into the sky like a storm of iron and fire. Above the surface, the Guardian's shadow spread wider than we'd imagined. Threx turned to me, jaw clamped tight. We were fools to think this graveyard was abandoned. Every system, every ruin, was bait for this. The sky was no longer ours. It belonged to the awakening. The Mark had taken control of the flagship. Lights flickered, hulls groaned, and human-alien hybrids moved in perfect unison. Threx barked orders, but the crew obeyed the Mark instead. The city of metal and bone pulsed with its intent. It doesn't just want us dead, I thought. It wants everything. From the bridge, I recorded, "To anyone who finds this, humanity built the ultimate defense. We woke it. We failed. The graveyard was never abandoned. It was waiting for a species that thought itself clever enough to claim the bones of the dead. We weren't clever. We were prey." A mechanical roar drowned my words as the core expanded, consuming the ship, the survivors, and sending its influence outward. The awakening had begun. Sensors went haywire. Entire squadrons disappeared from tracking. Varrock ships erupted mid-flight, hulls collapsing as if corroded from within. Mark's pulse had reached every vessel, overriding shields, engines, and weapons. Threx barked for evasive maneuvers, but the fleet was paralyzed. "We've been turned into weapons ourselves," I muttered. The enemy didn't need to fight us. They were already in control. From orbit, the planet pulsed, transmitting energy lines across the system. Nearby, moons cracked and shifted, forming channels of gravitational pull. The Guardian moved like a colossal predator, its wings absorbing and reflecting orbital beams. "The weapon isn't just awake," Threx said grimly. "It's rewriting the battlefield itself." Every object in orbit and on the surface obeyed the same logic, preparing for something far larger than a planetary defense. The hybrids spread throughout the flagship. Their movements were coordinated, almost sentient. Every attack we made was anticipated and countered. "It's thinking ahead," I whispered, "learning from every decision." We tried to fire back. Weapons misfired, shields redirected attacks into our own hulls. The Mark didn't need brute force, it needed precision. Scanners revealed the pattern. The Mark was tracing routes across the system, plotting trajectories to intercept any fleeing craft. It wasn't just killing, it was hurting. Every surviving fleet element, every isolated ship, every colony in the system became a moving node in its strategy. Threx muttered, "It's a hunt, and we're the prey." The hunter had revealed its pattern, and escape was no longer an option. Communications arrived from the outer rim. Other systems detected strange energy signatures, signals encoded in the language of humanity. "It's spreading," I said. "The Mark is reaching beyond this system." Entire colonies went dark. Flares of unknown origin erupted in space. We weren't facing a planet-sized weapon anymore. Attempts to rally nearby fleets failed. All units reported inexplicable internal malfunctions. Threx shouted for countermeasures, but the systems ignored him. The Mark was not contained. It was networked. Every ship, every station, every active sensor within range now had a chance to fall under its control. The scope of the battle had just gone galactic. Amid the chaos, we detected an isolated structure beyond the system, a beacon of pristine energy. It wasn't alien, it wasn't fully human. It radiated containment protocols. The humans. They left a fail-safe, I whispered. Perhaps this was the last chance to stop the Mark before it spread. As we neared, defense turrets engaged automatically, but they didn't fire on us. The beacon seemed to recognize our intent. "It's a prison," Threx realized. "Everything we've unleashed could be sealed again, if we survive the entry." Yet the Mark had already detected our approach. Energy pulses surged across space, warning that any misstep would trigger planetary annihilation. We had no room for error. The beacon's energy shield adjusted as we approached. Docking clamps extended with uncanny precision. Inside, corridors hummed with ancient power, alive yet dormant. "We are entering the heart of human engineering," Threx muttered. Every step felt like walking into a trap. But this trap might be the only chance to stop the Mark. The chamber ahead pulsed with light. Embedded holograms displayed schematics of the Guardian, the core, and the Mark's network. It was designed to be stopped, I realized, yet the further we went, the more I feared we weren't fast enough. Energy conduits lit up around us, mapping our neural signatures. "It knows we're here," Threx said quietly, "and it is ready." The final sequence to contain the Mark waited ahead. If we failed, nothing in this system, or the next, would remain untouched. The chamber's walls pulsed with synchronized energy, following the rhythm of our neural signatures. Every step forward felt like walking inside a living mind. Threx's claws gripped the railing as he muttered, "This is more than a prison. It's a brain." Holographic schematics displayed the Guardian, the planetary core, and every hybrid connection. Mark's presence reverberated through the corridors. It was aware. "It's calculating every choice we make," I whispered. The beacon began a calibration sequence. Energy surged along conduits that mirrored the Mark's network. "If we succeed, we can sever its connection to the Guardian and the hybrids," Threx explained. But a warning glowed in red. "Improper timing triggers system-wide annihilation." Every second wasted increased the risk. We had one chance to reset what humanity had buried, and stop the awakening before the galaxy became its hunting ground. From orbit, the Guardian moved with terrifying precision. Its wings reflected the last beams of the system's sun as molten debris rained down. Every station and ship under the Mark's control followed its lead. "It isn't just defending. It's preparing for galactic traversal," I said grimly. The sky became a storm of energy, fire, and shattered metal. A pulse radiated outward, knocking our vessel off course. Sensors overloaded. Hull integrity plummeted. Threx barked orders. "Divert all power to propulsion and shields. Do not engage." Yet Mark's network already had its fingers in every system. We were trapped in the shadow of the awakening Titan. The survivors turned hybrids breached the beacon's outer corridors. Limbs fused with machinery, forming shapes that defied natural anatomy. We fired everything we had, but projectiles were absorbed, redirected, or neutralized by adaptive shields. "They evolve as we fight," I hissed. "Every tactic is already predicted." The beacon began to overcharge, warning sequences screaming through the corridors. "Any misfire and we lose containment entirely," Threx growled. The hybrid's synchronization with the Mark's core pulsed visibly, rippling through the floors and walls. "We are running out of time," I said. Every corridor had become a death gauntlet, every heartbeat a countdown. The planetary core began lashing energy into orbit. Ships, stations, even moons shook under the stress. Threx shouted, "If we don't sever the network, the whole system collapses." The Guardian hovered above the planet, absorbing orbital energy and feeding it into the Mark. We initiated the beacon's reset sequence. Conduits glowed white-hot as the core began disconnecting hybrids from the network. Hybrids writhed, struggling to maintain cohesion. The Guardian faltered, thrusters misfiring. "Hold!" Threx screamed. Every second mattered. Outside, the sky burned, but for the first time we sensed a flicker of hope. The awakening might be stalled. The reset sequence completed. Energy arcs across the beacon, and the planetary core collapsed inward. The hybrids convulsed, then froze. One by one, their systems went inert. The Guardian hovered unpowered, wings trembling, unable to lift from the surface. Threx exhaled, mandibles clicking. "It's contained. For now." The fleet surveyed the wreckage. The system was scarred, moons cracked, ships destroyed. Yet the Mark, though dormant, had left its mark on every survivor. Neural imprints, residual energy, and a warning unspoken but felt. "The human's weapon sleeps again," I murmured, "but it waits for the next curious hand to disturb it." The silence returned, but fragile, heavy, and full of foreboding. The galaxy had glimpsed the consequences of awakening a dead empire's arsenal, and no one would forget. The surviving ships limped through orbit, hulls scorched, sensors fried. We scanned the system, moons fractured, planetary core inert but still radiating low-level energy. Threx reported to me, mandibles tight. Containment holds, but residual pulses are propagating outward. Neighboring systems may detect it. The Galactic Council would see this, and panic would follow. From the edge of the system, unknown vessels approached, silent, sleek, and scanning. Threx growled. Whatever witnessed the mark may not be friendly. Our dormant enemy was now a beacon across the stars. Every civilization near enough would see the signature, and the galaxy would know the humans had left a weapon, and someone, or something, had awakened it. The first signals arrived from colonies near the rim. Panic, terror, and reports of strange energy fluctuations. Every ship attempting travel slowed, systems overloaded, or inexplicably redirected. "The mark's reach is expanding," I whispered, even while dormant. Threx gathered the remaining fleet. "We must decide. Do we retreat to quarantine, or do we risk pursuit to contain these signals before they propagate?" I scanned the star maps. Neighboring colonies were now potential prey. Containment was only Phase 1, I muttered. Phase 2, the galaxy-wide ripple, had already begun. From hyperspace, a fleet appeared near the system's edge. Ships unlike any human or Varric design, angular, black, and reflective. Sensors showed energy readings similar to Mark's residual signature. Threx hissed. "They are drawn by the same beacon. They may not care who they destroy in the process." Hails went unanswered. The fleet advanced with mechanical precision. Every movement mirrored the Guardian's calculated strike patterns. I realized we weren't just observers now. We were in the eye of another predator. The galaxy had noticed the human weapon, and something older was following its call. Our scouts discovered other human relics, abandoned stations, partially buried war machines, dormant arrays, scattered across multiple star systems. "Humanity never left a single piece idle," I said, awed and terrified. Each relic hummed faintly, transmitting encrypted signatures. Even dormant, the echoes of human war engineering were alive, a lattice spanning the galaxy. The mark was connected. Each relic functioned as a node, a potential reactivation point. Threx scanned the network. If even one node awakens fully, the galaxy may face another Guardian, or worse. We weren't safe in any system. The dead empire of humanity was still breathing through its machines, and it was awake enough to manipulate others into serving it. The unknown fleet advanced toward the mark-infested system, moving with relentless precision. Our small fleet struggled to maintain formation, caught between containing residual signals and avoiding annihilation. Threx's voice trembled as he calculated maneuvers. "We are no longer in command. We are pieces on a board." I recorded our log, hands trembling. The mark is dormant, yet alive. The humans' weapons are not abandoned. They are a web, and we have just become its moving nodes. The galaxy will pay attention. Whoever approaches next will either awaken or be consumed. Above, the stars shone coldly, and from the shadows of hyperspace, predators waited, studying, calculating. We were prey, but the hunt had only begun. Sensors detected ships moving in hyperspace, vessels unlike any recorded in galactic databases. Angular, black, and pulsating with energy. Threx muttered, "They are watching us, studying our response to the mark." Every maneuver we made was anticipated. "We are under observation," I whispered. "Perhaps the galaxy has eyes older than the humans themselves." Our fleet attempted evasive maneuvers, weaving through asteroid fields and debris from the mark-activated system. Yet the unknown observers matched our every course. Threx growled, "Retreat alone will not save us. The predator is learning." The lesson was clear. Survival meant not just fleeing, but understanding what hunted us, and how to counter it. Mark's residual energy surged through nearby human relics. Stations lit up as if awakening from centuries of sleep. Threx's scanners registered neural imprints activating across multiple systems. "It's spreading," I said grimly. "Dormant nodes are waking because of us." Our fleet scrambled. Every ship was ready for instant combat, yet each attack against the relics triggered defensive mechanisms. Turrets emerged, shields engaged, energy fields crackled. "We are fighting shadows of a war that ended millennia ago," Threx muttered, and the galaxy was about to inherit its full fury. One star system, previously quiet, erupted into chaos. Colonies vanished, communications jammed, orbital stations disintegrated as automated defenses activated. Mark's network had fully connected with a relic grid. "This is what full activation looks like," I whispered. Threx surveyed the damage. Energy arcs shot across the void, triggering secondary explosions in neighboring asteroid belts. Ships attempting evacuation were vaporized before escape trajectories could be completed. "We are witnessing the birth of a weapon that doesn't need commanders, only targets," he said. "The galaxy would never be the same." The Guardian, now partially repaired from the containment chamber, activated thrusters and lifted above the surface. It projected its influence across the system, coordinating dormant relics and hybrids. "It isn't just a machine. It's a central intelligence controlling an army of the dead," Threx warned. Our fleet attempted a coordinated strike, but the Guardian's shields deflected orbital bombardments effortlessly. Energy pulses from the surface warped space around our ships, throwing targeting systems into chaos. Threx groaned. "We can't fight the hunter. We can only survive its attention." Every maneuver risked becoming prey to the Mark's awakening. Mark's network radiated across multiple star systems, triggering relics to awaken simultaneously. Each activation sent waves of gravitational and energy disturbances, collapsing or destabilizing entire colonies. "We've unleashed a chain reaction across the galaxy," I whispered. Threx recorded a warning. "To any who find this log, the humans left a weapon beyond comprehension. The Mark is awake. Entire systems are now prey to its influence. We survived, barely, but the galaxy is changing. If curiosity drives you toward the ruins, know this. You will awaken the hunter, and when it hunts, nothing survives." Stars glimmered in silent terror as the first echoes of Galactic War spread, heralding an apocalypse born from humanity's dead empire. Our sensors picked up the first fully activated human relic in a nearby system. Planetary defenses failed instantly, and orbital stations collapsed under coordinated energy surges. Thrax shouted over the comms, "All ships, intercept, or you will be destroyed." We scrambled, but every approach triggered further relic activations. The fleet weaved through energy storms as ships exploded mid-orbit. "We are not fighting. We are bait," I muttered grimly. Every action seemed anticipated. The Mark wasn't just a weapon. It was a networked predator, learning faster than we could react. The galaxy was bleeding under its pulse. The Guardian, fully awake, descended onto a populated planet. Cities crumbled under its thrusters, molten energy ripping through surface structures. "It's coordinating its army from here," Threx growled. The hybrids formed a perimeter, moving with perfect synchronization. Our fleet attempted orbital strikes, but every attack was countered by energy shields and adaptive targeting. The Guardian systems absorbed energy from the planet and relics alike. "This isn't war," I whispered. "It's an execution." We realized our only hope was a direct strike at the core, risking everything. Ships fell in succession, obliterated by energy pulses or rendered inert by the Mark. "We are losing every engagement," Threx barked. Communication relays went dark. Coordination became impossible. I ordered a single carrier to deliver the containment beacon directly to the Guardian's location. "It's a suicide run," Threx warned. Then it's the only run, I replied. The galaxy's fate now rested in the hands of a handful of survivors racing toward the heart of the Predator. The carrier navigated through molten craters and energy arcs surrounding the Guardian. Hybrids surged around them, forcing evasive maneuvers at impossible speeds. "Hold the course," I hissed. "If we fail now, nothing remains." The containment beacon interfaced with the Guardian's systems. Energy pulses flared, resonating with every active relic. For the first time, the Guardian staggered. Systems overloaded, thrusters misfired. "It's working," Threx whispered. Yet even as hope sparked, the Guardian's central core glowed with a warning. Countermeasures engaged. Every second was a gamble between survival and annihilation. The Guardian convulsed, hybrids froze mid-stride, and relics across the system pulsed erratically. "Containment is holding. Barely," I reported. Energy surges erupted, tearing through space as Mark's network struggled to resist the beacon. The Guardian collapsed onto the surface, inert but still massive. We drifted through the wreckage, knowing the galaxy had changed forever. "We've delayed it," Threx said, jaw tight, "but the hunter sleeps only for now." Signals continued to ripple through distant systems. The Mark's presence remained, a dormant but patient predator, waiting for the next curious hand to awaken it. The Guardian lay inert, wings splayed across the scorched planet. The hybrids were motionless, frozen mid-step, as if the universe itself held its breath. Threx hovered nearby, surveying the wreckage. "It sleeps. For now," he muttered. But every sensor detected residual energy, the faint pulse of the Mark, dormant yet aware. "The galaxy has changed," I said quietly. "This silence isn't peace, it's waiting." The surviving fleet drifted through orbit, collecting scattered crews and damaged vessels. Holographic logs recorded the carnage, warning any who might come after. Threx tapped a recorder. "We survived, but the threat is not gone. Humanity's weapon endures, patient, intelligent, and lethal. Whoever disturbs it next will face the hunter." Scanners detected faint signals in distant systems, other human relics flickering with dormant energy. "The Mark's presence is not contained to this system," I said grimly. Even in its sleep, it projected influence. We plotted courses to survey each potential relic node. Threx's claws tapped rhythmically against the console. "Containment is temporary. The Mark will awaken fully if even one node is triggered." The galaxy's future now depended on vigilance, knowledge, and restraint. We established a remote outpost to monitor the dormant relics. Each scan revealed traces of human ingenuity, destructive yet disciplined. "Their empire may be gone," I said, "but their weapons endure as a warning and a temptation." Threx gazed at a distant star field. "We thought we were clever to find their technology. We were naive. Humanity's war never ended. It only waited for another species to awaken it." I recorded the moment for the fleet's archives. The dead could still influence the living, and their legacy would haunt the galaxy indefinitely. Fleets maintained patrols near relic sites, ensuring no curious or desperate species triggered the dormant nodes. The galaxy remained tense, aware that a single mistake could awaken the Mark. I logged a final message. The humans left more than relics. They left predators in wait. Their weapon sleeps, but it knows the galaxy, and it will remember. Any civilization that seeks to claim the bones of the past risks invoking extinction. Stars shimmered in silence, holding secrets older than any living species. The Guardian, hybrids, and Mark were dormant, but alive. Every pulse of energy, every relic, is a silent sentinel. Threx surveyed the planet one last time. It waits, patient, calculating, and aware. Whoever comes next will learn too late. The surviving fleet departed, leaving the system in quiet ruin. The galaxy moved on, unaware of the dormant predator lying in wait. I recorded the final log. Humanity may be gone, but their weapon endures. A hunter sleeps, and the galaxy's future hinges on those who remember its name, and those foolish enough to disturb it. And in the blackness between stars, the mark pulsed faintly, a heartbeat for a sleeping hunter, patient, eternal, and lethal. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.